Hi everyone, so last Friday we had this campfire chat, the developer live stream here that Blizzard has scheduled on very short notice after the mostly negative feedback they have received for the patch 1.1 for Season 1 in Diablo 4. So I want to talk through this. I didn't get the chance to make a video yet because, well, this was right on the first day of the season. I was racing to World First and stuff like that, but we did listen to it while I was playing. And I have to say, it was actually a really good developer live stream. So they had a lot of really good points they made. First, they were talking about how the patch came to be and what was the thought process behind it. And a lot of people didn't like the nerfs, for example. And to sum it up, basically what they said is that they are aware that it was not a really good patch and that a lot of people are upset. And they are also trying to avoid something like that in the future, where they give like a massive sweeping nerfs to a lot of things. Now, for those people playing on seasonal realm, there's actually not such a big deal with the nerfs, I guess, because the hearts exist and they kind of make up for most of that power loss, or even give you an advantage. So some builds are actually just like way more powerful than before the patch because of those hearts. So in general, I have to say that after playing like to almost level 100 now, yeah, it is actually not really a problem with the nerfs, I gotta say. And on top of this, there were some other changes they have announced and already made and that are coming very soon. So they mentioned that next Friday, there's going to be another developer live stream and they're going to preview a patch coming very soon after that, like a few days. So something like 1.5 weeks, I guess. And there's going to be a bunch of buffs. There's going to be buffs for Barb, for Zorg. Those are the two classes kind of at the bottom right now, especially the sorcerers, I guess. And they're trying to make up for that a little bit. And other improvements like density changes to nightmare dungeons. So those are going to be beefed up a little bit. There's going to be a lower cost of respecs. So they want to lower that by 40%. That's actually quite significant. And a bunch of other small improvements. And on top of this, they have already released a hotfix for nightmare dungeon scaling, making it massively easier, especially towards the higher tiers. So starting from, I believe, tier 35, the scaling is reduced and monsters will have less HP and less damage. And it starts very, very slowly at that tier. And then towards tier 100, things become a lot easier. And monsters have like... Now there is a downside to that, which is that the only really difficult content in the game was removed with that, which has some problems, I guess. But they also mentioned in the developer live stream that they did this purposefully to like eventually bring a real competitive mode to the game. So they already highlighted this in another dev stream, I think, where they said that in Season 3, we're going to start getting leaderboards. And for Season 3, they're also going to introduce such a new mode that will replace this Nightmare Dungeon pushing. Now, to give my TLDR thoughts on that, I think that's a really good move. I think that Nightmare Dungeon pushing was very flawed, especially if you compare to Diablo 3 Greater Rift pushing. Diablo 3 Greater Rift pushing is really well done because it has, kind of like evolved over a decade. And in Nightmare Dungeons, it was not anywhere near as fun. Although it was a nice kind of like benchmark and a challenge that it could achieve at least. But yeah, now it's kind of removed without any immediate compensation. And that is a bit weird. So I think they could have just waited and kept it as it was, because there was not really a reason to go high tiers besides trying to challenge yourself. So what was the harm really? The devs also talked about some more general points, for example, the design philosophy and their thought process behind those patches. And you can see this here, for example. So they basically want to try to balance out the game more and increase the number of available options. And they are generally moving in that direction. So I know a lot of people are probably upset with the nerfs. And I also talked about it in another video already about the patch, etc. I had a really long discussion and analysis video of the patch notes where I went into that already. But most of the nerfs definitely helped to move in that direction of build diversity, I think. And for example, they're trying to remove the need for vulnerable. They're trying to tone down crits so that there are actually other options available that you can use to scale your character or to play a certain class. And by evening it out a little bit more, that definitely helps. And the bigger issue really was that we just lost a bunch of power and there was little to no compensation, at the very least on Eternal Realm, I guess. But from what I get from this live stream here is that they are generally making the game more casual friendly, they're making it easier, they're making leveling faster, they're making Nightmare Dungeon scaling lower, etc. So that more people get to actually reach the end game, finish basically everything there is. Now, as a very competitive player on the high end, I gotta say, yeah, I'm happy for the more casual audience to also receive something, but it's a bit weird that they're just kind of like taking out the real challenges, so to say. Besides Uber, there's like this one shining star, and that's about it. So yeah, unfortunately for the next like half year or so, not really much to look forward to for the competitive crowd, besides like maybe the season start again and some races. Maybe we can do some community events as well. Like I was thinking about doing some kind of community races or so. Let's see about that, maybe a few weeks from now. At the end of the live stream, they also talked about some of the community questions and some quality of life features. So I already mentioned the respecking. That is definitely one of them. And they talked about potentially, you know, developing loadouts or something like that. So this is definitely a topic for them, but there's nothing to share there yet. So that maybe you can save like a build and then switch between them or something like that. That's like a much requested feature. They also acknowledged that stash space is a problem, and they are trying to find ways to alleviate that. So number one is they're actually giving us +1 extra stash tab for free in the patch next week or the week after or something like that. So apparently it's a bit of a technical challenge for them because of some coding that they have done, and it's not easy to just add more space, but at least you get something, so that's kind of nice. And maybe long term they're also looking into ways, for example, to reduce the stash pressure. So they're already doing this gem change. So if you're not aware, in season 2 gems will become like a material, and they will not actually go to your inventory. They will be like stored like just as a currency basically. So there's that. And for example, they also want to look into ways to make legendary aspects like stored in a way, maybe, so that you have more stash space for actual items, and you don't just fill up like, you know, half of your stash with legendary affixes that you may want to extract or not. There were some topics discussed that this was mostly quite vague and, you know, somewhere down the line, I guess. So loot filters maybe kind of a thing. They mentioned maybe making different types of treasure goblins. They also talked about crowd controls and how they want to tune that down, and also just like what kills players basically. So for example, they acknowledged that there's a lot of on-death effects that actually, you know, claim people's characters and stuff like that, and they want to work on that and maybe make it a bit more fair, a bit more balanced, so it's like less frustrating. And yeah, overall it sounded like they were generally moving in the right direction with a lot of things. So there are definitely a lot of things to look forward to, in my opinion. I think this developer live stream, as I said at the start, was really good, and let's just wait and see what the patch offers next week. So we're gonna have a bit of a preview probably in a few days, and yeah, it's probably gonna be a pretty nice season 1 after that as well. That's it. That's my thoughts for now. I have the full dev live stream linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet. Otherwise, hope you're enjoying the season, and I'll see you guys next time.